Great. Morning, everyone. Are you hungry? But it's time to relax. As you see, we have a sofa set here, living room set. All we need is a fireplace coming from Ohio. And this morning we have 3 panels, and I'll be starting a panel. We have a 20-minute time slot. Infusing entrepreneurship in the engineering curriculum. I'm a professor at Western Reserve University, a colleague of Professor Winnick at the Department of Macromolecular Science and Engineering. I've been visiting the Philippines since I left, which was 25 years ago all the time. So I'm very much familiar with the scene here. Certainly as a PhilDev trustee, I'm very happy to say that we are making a difference, and I'm proud to be a part of it. And certainly this time of our engagement in various activities, we appreciate the help of USAID that has allowed us to create several innovative programs, including the visiting professor program that has allowed us to get more support from our colleagues in the US, and certainly to be part of the exciting organic things that are happening here in the Philippines. So let me call on my colleagues here up front. First, I'd like to call on Professor Ikhlaq Sidhu. You have heard from him. He's the founding director and chief scientist at UC Berkeley Center for Entrepreneurship and Technology. He teaches and advises projects in graduate and undergraduate. You sit down and relax. Then I'd like to call on Dr. Elepaño. Dean Elepaño is the current Dean of the College of Engineering and Agro-Industrial Technology, or CEAT, at the University of the Philippines, Los Baños. His research interests center on agriculture, processing, biomass, energy, and numerical simulation in Elepaño. Last, not the least, of course, we have Engineer Ureta. Engineer Ureta. He is a member of the CHED Technical Panel for Engineering and Technology and CHED Task Force of Faculty Program. So, Dean of the College of Engineering at the University College of Paranaque. He's also a member of the Faculty Center for International Collaboration, Delft University of Technology, Delft, Netherlands. All right, gentlemen, please sit down, relax. About 40 minutes before lunch. So really what we are here for this next 20-30 minutes is to discuss how we can infuse entrepreneurship in the engineering curriculum. In certain ways, there are models of doing this that have been tried and tested, especially in the Philippines. A lot of things are cropping up in terms of what's unique with our educational system, and think that we can influence them based on our experience as well, but also what has been done in terms of very successful programs, for example. So let me start by allowing you to give some of your comments, viewpoints on this matter. So let's start with Ikhlaq.
Okay, all right, thanks. I assume that we'll go around a number of times, so let me just on the floor, just to get things started. We've been at the, thinking about how to do this now for about 10 years at Berkeley. And we've tried a number of different things. We did do experiments. I will say that we've had some amount of success with our programs. We really do create entrepreneurs. Lots of companies come out. Of course, there's that enormous ecosystem around Berkeley that is part of our program as well. Okay, so when I think about what's happened over time with using it in engineering, I think first of all, whenever you have engineers that are part of the curriculum, you automatically, regardless of what you teach them, you automatically bring in all of the technical expertise. So it becomes more about building, about implementing all the projects. They have a substantial product or something that they can build from what they're doing. It's less about, sometimes about the strategy or the business or, there are other factors, but when you talk about putting these things into an engineering curriculum, fundamentally, there has to be projects where people feel it. And I think that's correct. Now, there's a couple other things that we have done over time, and we've learned from these things. One thing that we learned was that you have to have role models. So bringing people into the university, either in a lecture series format or something along those lines, and having them say, I was sitting where you're sitting now in the classroom 15 years ago, or in some cases 30 years ago, in some cases 5 years ago, or even 3 years ago, with young people, and that this is the path that I took, this is the way I saw opportunities, I decided to do this instead of that, and the students sitting in the classroom, they say, that's not a very unreasonable story. I'm a little bit like that. I can do those things. And so one is, that lets you have belief that you can do it. And I think that's essential. And then I'll stop. The other thing that maybe I'll say is that our models are much more around challenges that we provide students instead of, in other words, we'll take an entire class and give them a challenge to work against that might come from outside of the classroom. And that's a new model that we've been doing, and it's also very good.
Yeah, I think the experiential approach is so critical to create a personal level. So let's hear from the Elepaño. Yes.
Let me share what we're doing in the university. We have a technology transfer development, business development office. It's based in the PP system. And it was recently transferred to the office of the Vice President. So I guess that shows how we did universities on, forwarding entrepreneurial programs. In the University of the Baños, we have a Center for Technology Transfer and Entrepreneurship, which is mandated to provide, convert some of our resources to investment here. And then in the college, one topic I like most is that of earning profit without feeling guilty. And for our graduate programs, we have mandate required all students to take technology, commercialization, and entrepreneurship. And most especially those with PhD scholarship. So those are some of what we're doing. And last July we had a business professor from PhilDev, Professor Scott from University of Houston. And we started collaborating on really putting up a course on business organization management, specifically for graduating.
So what I can see here is that it's very important to have a support from the administration, sort of like a top-to-bottom mandate to do things that can accelerate the a lot of things within the university. So let me give some room to Engineer Ureta.
Hello. I'll speak for Chair, because I am the Chair of the Technical Committee for Civil Engineering and member of the Technical Committee for Engineering and At Ikhlaq, there are 15 technical committees at the Technical Content for Technology. And I can enumerate here for traditional courses, civil, electrical, mechanical, chemical. And the others are electronics, as well as industrial engineering, sanitary, metallurgical, mining, and engineering technology. We even have geodetic. My friends, what we are doing is for the whole field. And we set the policy standards and guidelines for the engineering and we are recommendatory, in short, recommending our product, our work to the technical, to the commission for approval. Once it is approved, it becomes a law. And in the curriculum that we have produced is the 5-year curriculum. Civil engineering, for example, has 200 units. And we have tracking, 5 tracking, namely structural, geodetic, geotechnical, water resources, as well as transportation, as our thing. In each of these curricula, they have tracking, they have electrics. And one of them can be entrepreneurship. And in this CMO, memo order number, so on so, the following programs have elected as entrepreneurship, namely electrical, engineering, as well as chemical. I want to let you understand the mechanics of formulating the law. We have to invite the representatives from industry, as well as from the academic, from the government and private school representatives, as well as the PRs, professional regulation. We jointly made the conversation, the discussion, until we are given the chance to formulate the policy. Once the policy is made, we bring it up to the public for public consultation, and then for approval. So here, entrepreneurship will come to fore because we signed an agreement with PhilDev on December 2014. And we look forward that we will work together to make this subject offering a very fruitful one and a success.
Well, thank you, Engineer. I think what we can see here is the national level and the urgency that we can do by working with the government or letting the government do a higher umbrella of mandate. But when you say mandate, that can have some negative connotation. What we want to do here is let the government support an ecosystem that certainly has a lot of bottom-up approach. So with the remaining time, I'd like to give each of you gentlemen, some closing remarks, maybe 1 or 2 minutes, that will summarize.
We can infuse the engineering curriculum with entrepreneurship.
If I need them to come up with it. Earlier what I said was role models, and that there's different models and challenges and things like that. I think maybe, and I guess some of your comments that came up are basically how does this work? One thing that I have observed is that universities by themselves are not actually entrepreneurial places. Okay, I mean, I think we have to accept that they are very well-structured environments, and they're institutions that have lasted for, in some cases 500 years. Changing every day is not a typical thing that a university does.
but the students that are at a university need to all be entrepreneurial. And so how do you get an organization that is not designed to be entrepreneurial to have a product that is very entrepreneurial? I think this is something that takes some thought, and that would probably be my closing comment.
Very good. Dr. Elepaño,
what I'm about to say actually is our program, and I think this is common to most of the engineering schools in the country, requires a thesis, 6 units, or a practical, sort of a JT. For this is basically looking at some basic problems, and for the practical, it's trying to solve industry problem. So we go collaborate with some companies and try to solve some of their problems. But I agree with Rodo, especially what he said earlier, that we need to work with, we need to partner with people with entrepreneurial capabilities. And having said that, we are trying to develop a program wherein we will have a thesis option, practical option, and an entrepreneurial option, wherein the student can sort of propose some business plan or something which is equivalent to the thesis or practical activities.
Engineer?
I would say that in order for this to be successful in the implementation for all schools here in the Philippines, I think there is a need for collaborative efforts in training the faculty to teach this entrepreneurship, plus the support coming from regarding the syllabus that to be created, because it becomes national. It can be a general syllabus, so that it can depend on the region where it will be taught, and then adapt what are the resources there. So I would say that there is a need for a serious collaboration between the Philippine government and PhilDev here. I have been an eyewitness to projects, and I have gone to the Dutch government projects, gone to underdeveloped countries, and I see that there is a need for collaboration. Thank you.
So, we actually have a few more minutes, but let me sort of summarize what I heard. Basically, it's an individual approach. And then we can probably take a question and let someone answer it. An approach where mentoring is key, where professors, mentor, entrepreneurs can be combined, where each student have the opportunity to hear a successful story, a case study, an inspirational talk, allows you to dream, be a problem solver, create something new, be available to innovate. And this is really what entrepreneurship, starting with the individual and the university and the facilities we have, basically are laboratories, ecosystems by which an individual can flourish. So I think we can take even a question from the audience or for the group that I can pass to our panel. Okay, we'll have more opportunities. So I think at this point, yes, you would like to make a last comment.
In answer to the question, I want to make a comment. And my comment is, there's such a thing as what you teach and so forth, pedagogy and curriculum and so forth. But I can tell you there's a lot to what's in your mind as an entrepreneur. There's a lot to the psychology of being an entrepreneur. And I'll just, this is something that sometimes with our classes, I will kind of... sometimes we relay this concept, and the concept is that no matter what you think you're going to do, whatever your plan is, you think that it's going to be some sort of straight line between where you are now and what you'd like to achieve. And in reality, it's never like that. In reality, and like I see everybody nodding, all these very successful people, I see them nodding because they know that they had some idea of what they were going to do, and then they ran into some barrier. Their best customer left, someone they were needed to be a partner decided to go do something else. All these different things happen, and no matter what your plan is, it changes. Like the whole world changes around you. But the difference between people who are entrepreneurs, who are innovators, and the people who are not, are how they react when that change happens. The people who are entrepreneurs, innovators, when the world changes, they're above that change. That they just relook at the situation. They say, you know, based on their technical skills, based on their people skills, they figure out what is the way to now fit into this new situation, new context. And the people who cannot do that, they melt down, they get frustrated, they get into arguments with other people, they are not able to use their skills at that moment. And all of the capabilities, they're frankly, entrepreneurship is more psychology than it is psychology entrepreneurs here. It's more psychology than it is process or than it is specific, you know, incremental skills. You know, it's really how you see the world and how you interact with it.
No, thank you, Ikhlaq. I think that's a very important point, and maybe even there's room here for collaborating with the psychology departments. So with that, I'd like to thank our panel. Thank you, gentlemen.